What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Allan Wade with another episode of Beat the Streets, and we're out here on South Street in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And guys, we have a few questions today, and all we want is a few people to answer our questions. So we're going to see if we can find a few interesting people and get some different perspectives on the things that we're here to ask people today. Let's see what we can find, guys. All right, first of all, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to do this interview with you, sir. And what's your name?
My name is Jacques.
Jacques.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Jacques. And briefly, do you believe in the legal system?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And what's the difference between a medical marijuana business selling weed versus a person selling weed to make a living?
I think a person selling weed is for personal benefit. I think that's kind of illegal. The medical marijuana is for medicinal purposes.
Mm-hmm. What's your name, ma'am?
Delesta.
Delesta. Nice to meet you, Delesta. And do you believe in the legal system, Delesta?
Sorta, kinda.
Sort of, kind of. Okay. All right, that's a fair answer. And what do you think the difference is between a medical marijuana business selling weed versus someone personally selling weed to make a living?
I really don't think it's a difference. I think the government just used that as a way of getting in on the money aspect of it, because they were making so much money on the street, and they knew that people weren't going to stop, regardless of whether they were selling it to make money or just to get high. So I believe that it's the same. It's no different.
Very interesting perspective. Thank you. Do you believe in the legal system, Ben?
I'd like to believe so, yeah.
Okay. And what's the difference between a business selling medical marijuana versus someone on the street selling it to make a living?
Well, I would like to think that people selling it out of a dispensary, it's a better product, it's tested better. You're not going to find stuff like fentanyl or any type of illegal substance that might be dangerous to people in their pot. So you'd just like to think it's generally safer for the consumer.
That's good points. Very good points. Do you believe in the legal system?
Yeah, I think that, like, to some extent we need a legal system, you know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
definitely just to keep the checks and balances in our environment and our society, yeah.
Awesome. And what do you think the difference is between a medical marijuana place selling marijuana versus someone on the street selling marijuana?
Well, I think the difference is just that it goes through the FDA, and, I mean, I don't really know how good that is or how valid that is, because, dude now in charge of the FDA was running Monsanto. But, I mean, other than that, they're supposed to handle the fact that, there's no blood or nothing on it or any other shit that can, damage someone's brain or impair someone's body. I've heard cases, of people going to the hospital and shit because they got, bum weed off the street and shit.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Great perspective, great perspective. Do you think cigarettes kill people?
Yes, of course.
What about alcohol?
Yes.
What about marijuana?
No, I don't think marijuana kills people.
Okay. And do you know anybody, or have you ever smoked marijuana?
Yeah, in the past I've smoked a little bit of it.
If you had to choose between cigarettes and marijuana, which would you choose?
I would choose marijuana
Why is that?
because cigarettes have more chemicals and poisons in them.
Okay. Do you think cigarettes kill people?
Yes, I do. Because my father was a smoker, and he's 80, and he's on a breathing machine, and he didn't still get it that the cigarettes was killing him. But I understand that the drug aspect and the tobacco, that takes over your not your will, but it takes over from a medical standpoint.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. And what about alcohol? Do you think alcohol kills people?
Alcohol kills as well. It's a drug.
What about marijuana?
Marijuana is a drug, but the marijuana that they had when I was younger is not the same thing that they're using and they're smoking now. So I don't know what happened or what they did. I believe that it was a way for the dealers to keep the people coming back.
Yeah.
To add different chemicals to it, because from my understanding, marijuana was just a weed in the ground and you just pull it up and smoke it.
Right.
But nowadays it's something completely different. It's
Okay.
not what it was years ago.
Okay. Has anybody you know or do you smoke marijuana?
No, I don't smoke it.
Do cigarettes kill people?
Yeah.
What about alcohol?
Yeah.
What about marijuana?
Not really.
Okay. And do you know anybody or have you ever smoked marijuana before?
Yeah, both.
Okay.
Yes.
What about alcohol?
Yes.
What about marijuana?
No.
Okay.
No.
And,
Depends, actually. Depends. Obviously, like,
Okay.
again, with the street shit.
The regular stuff that grows from the ground.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. The shit grows from the ground. It's valid.
Okay, so it doesn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nah, I don't kill 'em.
Okay. And have you ever smoked marijuana?
Yeah, I'm on my way to get some right now.
Do cigarettes have any medical or medicinal benefits?
I don't think so. I don't believe so.
Okay. And what about smoking weed?
Yes, smoking weed has medical benefits.
Okay. Does cigarette smoke have any medicinal benefits?
Cigarette smoke? No,
cigarettes rather.
no. As far as I know, it doesn't.
What about
I think
marijuana?
it's a cancer agent.
Okay. Yeah.
As far as marijuana, I don't know, all of the logistics and behind what's in it. All I know is, it's not as pure as the ground that it's grown in, the soil that it's grown in.
Right.
So I have no idea.
All right. Do cigarettes have any medicinal benefits?
Not that I can think of, no.
What about marijuana?
Oh, yeah, tons. I take CBD oil. That's just like one I use right now.
Interesting.
Yeah. I have insomnia, so I take it to sleep.
Okay. Awesome. Does cigarette smoking have any medicinal benefits?
So that question is actually surprising because it actually helps with people who have ADHD.
Cigarettes.
Yeah, because of the nicotine. The nicotine helps with people who have ADHD. And, people who have anxiety. But I've also seen, like some national medical reviews saying that cigarettes also, they also, like, show signs of, like, a neurodegenerative disorder. Like somebody who, like,
I'm
has
glad I interviewed this guy.
an impairment. Yeah. So it depends. It's an anomaly, really. It's like one of those weird anomalies. I mean, I've seen, cases where, nicotine is done well for people, but it's really the cigarettes with all the other chemicals in it that fuck people up. And then I've seen shit that, where cigarettes has shown signs of people, like, already being, like, having borderline psychosis. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, what about weed? Does weed have any medicinal benefits?
Oh, yeah, it has a bunch. Has a bunch of benefits, yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Do you think marijuana should be legalized?
Yes, yeah.
Why do you think that?
Because it's for its medicinal purposes and it helps as stress reliever.
Do you think marijuana should be legalized?
That's a tough question. That's a real tough question. I think they weren't going to never stop selling it. You know what I'm saying? Whether it was for the money or whatever. I don't know. That's a tough question.
Not sure. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Do you think marijuana should be legalized?
Yeah.
Do you think marijuana should be legalized?
I do. I definitely think it should be legalized. I just, I don't know, based off the climate, how valid that'll be. That's obviously something that we're just going to have to see for ourselves. But, yeah, I think it should be legalized, definitely.
Agree or disagree? People who produce illegal drugs should be put in jail.
Yes, but it's debatable on the sentencing. Like how long they should be in jail. I think that's up for debate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Agree?
Yes.
People that produce illegal drugs should go to jail. You talking about working in like chemist type situation? Yeah, because it's really, they really don't have no clue on how it's affecting society, how it's affecting families. You know what I'm saying? They don't know what the chemicals, putting this chemical together and that one together, what it's going to do. And we can clearly see that it's destroying our culture. Whether black, white, or whatever, it's a destroyer.
Okay. People who produce illegal drugs should go to jail.
So, illegal drugs. I mean,
People who produce illegal drugs.
the people who produce illegal drugs, man, you asking the wrong person, but then you asking the right person. It depends. Man. It all depends.
What does that depend on? Whether they go to jail or not?
It depends on. Oh, that's just on the screen. It depends on really just what what are It's a business. You know what I mean? Like that's really what it comes down to. I mean, there's the people who produce it. They not the people that are on the streets or anything. They're the people in the suits who are running multi-million-dollar businesses and shit.
Okay. And if marijuana was to remain illegal, who do you think should go to jail for producing it?
The people who produce it.
But marijuana grows from the ground.
It does grow from the ground, but
So who goes to jail?
so it depends because right, like if it's someone who's a homegrown owner and they have a homegrown farm, because I've seen cases where, and I've actually I just have friends who they have friends who have farms and shit. I mean, it's just nothing, you know what I mean? Like, I'm Jamaican, like, in Jamaica, they do the same thing,
right.
So, but, in regards to, operations, those people.
Yeah, okay. If marijuana was to remain illegal, who do you think should go to jail for producing it?
Whoever grows it should go to jail.
What about if it grows out in the wild on its own?
Whoever picks it. Whoever takes it out should go to jail.
All right. If marijuana was to remain illegal, who do you think should go to jail for producing it?
Well, they're not producing it. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure what type of marijuana it is because I know it comes in pill form, and it also comes in herb form.
Okay.
So I can't say because I don't know how they're producing it. I don't know. It's not the same.
What about the kind that grows?
Well, that's coming out the ground.
Right.
That's coming out the ground. So they telling people that it's marijuana. We don't know.
Who do I think should go to jail for producing
marijuana if it was to remain illegal?
I mean, I don't know, man. It's a tough question. Probably it should be. Like, in a perfect world, it should be everybody who's owning the dispensaries, who's selling it on the street, because, like, it's not fair if you're just, like, a guy selling it on the street. If you're selling pot and you go to prison, but the guy with a dispensary down the block, he's, like, doing it legally, per se, like, that's just, I feel like that's discriminatory. So it should be either all or nothing.
Interesting. I thank you for that. That's a good perspective. If marijuana was to be legalized, do you think that the people that were put in prison for selling marijuana should be released?
Yes, because they, sometimes some people's situations just, they force them in that situation where they have to, sell, they have to sell bud to make ends meet.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
If marijuana was to be legalized, do you think that people who were arrested for selling marijuana should be released from prison or jail?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Or jail?
That I do believe because they've been locking people up, whether black brothers, white, or whatever. They've been locking people up for marijuana, and then you got people that's murdering and they walk in the street.
Right.
So I really do believe that they should, come on.
Yeah. Good point. If marijuana was to be legalized, do you think people that were put in jail for selling marijuana should be let out of jail?
Yeah, I think that's only fair.
Guys, we got some very, very interesting answers to the questions that we asked today. And I'd like to thank everybody that participated in today's episode of Beat the Street. If this is your first time watching this show, then I'd like to ask that you take a moment and subscribe to the channel, guys. And don't forget, share and comment and tell us what you think about the questions that we asked today. And guys, tune in next week for the next episode of Beat the Streets. It's your boy, A-Dubb, King Allan Alexander, on all social medias, Allan Wade. Check you next time.
Turn up that, crank it up. Why listen to the rest when you're rocking with the best, baby?